G'day everybody, Where's Wally here. The final experiments Will Duffy and Bev tried thinking sat down and had a chat the other day. Now, I was going to do a blow-by-blow of the critique that Bev did when he was arguing with this video, like he does, but it was just the same old thing that we get from him every time. When asked to disprove the flat earth, Bev trots out the usual comical elevation changes. Wow. Anyway, I thought it was important to have this complete unadulterated video published for anyone so inclined enough to enjoy it. Thanks, guys.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
Okay. Do you need to see me? I can get my I can put my camera on for you if you want.
I think it'd be better if we both did the same thing.
Streamlabs, is that working? Video settings.
In the lower
Says
left, there should be a button that says start video.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. Cannot start video. Fail to start the video camera. Please select another video camera. What? I don't know why it's not working.
Should we just do audio?
That's fine by me. Fine by me. It's a bit bad screen like, but Streamlabs. No, I can't. Sorry, it's got it clicked. It's got it clicked. It just won't do it.
It's okay. Let's just roll with it.
Okay. Thank you very much for doing this.
Happy to.
Yeah, Will Duffy from the final experiment. Can we say?
That's right.
Now, can I ask you why you call this the final experiment? Why is that? Why, what brought you round to doing this?
Well, yeah. So the first thing that happened is in 2021, I learned that flat Earth was a thing. I didn't realize flat Earth was a thing. I thought it was a joke.
How did you find out about it then?
Yeah, a friend of mine, she posted about flat Earth on Facebook, and I noticed a bunch of likes and hearts on her comment, as opposed to laugh emojis, which you'd expect with a joke. So I looked at the comments, and people interacting with her were serious. She was serious. I engaged with her and found out that she's a flat earther and that there's tons of other flat earthers. And I was like, wow, okay, this is going to be interesting. And my personality is one that likes to get involved with things like that. So I decided to engage and watch videos she sent me and read articles she sent me. And then before you know it, I was watching debates and other people's videos and looking at thousands of memes. And then I even ended up in an in-person debate between a flat earth pastor and a globe earth pastor in Nashville, Tennessee, at the end of last year.
Is that the one that I think Dave Weiss titled the Great Cosmological Debate or something like that? I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. The two people debating were Dean Odell and Greg Locke.
Those names sound familiar, yes. Now, that is something I wanted to ask of you, because I've been around this for a fair bit. Consider myself, well, I see it as a false dichotomy, the whole thing, right? We can get to that in time. But particularly saw that debate, and it was eye-opening for me, because I've always seen the division that's been caused between the flat versus globe, and introducing it into what I would class as a religion, right? It's a faith-based thing, the religion side, right? But this shape of the earth is very divisive, and to add that into I don't know, it seemed very strange to me. And did you see it as that, or?
Yes, a little bit for sure. I personally think that the shape of the earth should be one of the easiest things to figure out, and it doesn't have to involve religion.
Yeah, I've never really. I mean, I'd seen the flat earthers talking about, how the Bible proves flat or whatever. I've never really seen the globe Earth side using similar tactics,
Mm.
but this particular or that particular debate was the first time I'd ever seen a stage show where these two pastors were going and they were bringing this. I consider it the most divisive thing that we talk about today. Most people, because of the fact I consider it is a false dichotomy. So there's no true answer to it. The flat versus globe is only ever going to be it's one or the other, right? It's you're pushed onto one side or the other side.
Yeah, I don't think there's a third model.
Well, see, I think there is reality. We can both agree that there is a reality. And if you give the false dichotomy, so we particularly do quite a lot of logic, and I personally don't think there's enough logic in the world anymore. So I would say that if you are given the false dichotomy, all you never need to do is prove the other the other side false. So with argumentation, I could prove the globe false, or I could prove flat Earth false. Now, proving either of those false doesn't mean that the other one is true, because that's how I consider it a false dichotomy.
How would you prove flat Earth false?
Just elevation changes.
Okay, but that's not what flat Earth means.
Well, again, this is another thing I'd like to get around to. I ask a lot of people this. Two questions. One, what do you consider flat earthers think flat Earth is? And the
Well,
second question is, what would you consider flat Earth is? To differentiate between the two.
Yeah, so I think there's a real easy way to show the two models. In the flat Earth model, the water on the Earth is flat. And in the globe model, the water on the globe takes the shape of a sphere. So on your model, I think you have to pick one or the other. I think water on whatever model you have is either flat or takes the shape of a sphere.
Well, we have a Discord called On the Level. We consider that not just an idiom, but level to be provably horizontal.
Okay, so that's the flat Earth position.
Well, that's the reality position, because you can go to any shop and buy a level, and that level is a tool for establishing a horizontal plane of reference.
Yeah, I've never put a level on water. I think it would sink.
Well, have you ever heard of a water level?
No.
No. A water level is the original tool. It's just a tube or any container of water, and the pressure state within that water will provide a horizontal plane of reference. So the water level has two ends, and those two ends are of an equal altitude, let's say.
What's the biggest water level there is?
The biggest one I've got is 400 meters.
Okay, and what do you find with that?
Well, we did a test, and that was to prove Euclid, or the Euclidean principles, having a straight line lying within a plane.
Okay.
It's a geometrical, but it goes along with the logic theme that we do.
Did you involve any globe earthers with your test?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean?
Were there any?
There have been a lot of people that have looked at what we do, and the geometric principles, the logical principles behind it.
Yeah, the problem
Yes.
with all of these tests and experiments that have happened in the past is there was no collaboration between the both sides. That's what makes the final experiment so unique. We're doing this with both flat earthers and globe earthers together.
Yeah, well, similar. This one, it's a lot cheaper, but you know, anyone can do it. You know, that's why we did it. But I mean, we did it a long time ago. It's you know, I don't want to get into a conversation about that just yet, or you know, maybe another time. What we're trying to consider here is your final experiment.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and I feel really good that there's a true dichotomy going on. And so we could look at it as one model, water is flat and level, and the other model, water takes the shape of a sphere. I don't think there's a third model.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then your final experiment is looking at lights in the sky.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Would it not be simpler if you say that there is a true dichotomy, either level is horizontal or it is not? That's a true dichotomy. I'll give you that.
Mhm. Yeah, the reason we're doing something involving the sun is because there is no model that I'm aware of that's a level model, a flat stationary plane that can have both a 24-hour sun in the north and a 24-hour sun in the south. So if there is a 24-hour sun, that would perfectly match the globe model. If there's not, that would falsify the globe model.
Again, that to me, because we've just done a thing a bit ago about how the flat earthers have a problem. Well, particularly the flat earthers and the globe earthers have a problem with perpendicular. Perpendicular being right angles, right? The cross.
It depends on how you're defining perpendicular.
At right angles to each other, as defined.
Okay, so if I grab a piece of paper and I draw two lines that are perpendicular to each other, you would say those are not perpendicular because they're not perfect?
No, I would say that is the definition of perpendicular as two lines at right angles to each other, right? So
yeah, but we can't draw something with freehand that's going to be a perfect right angle. So I'm just curious if I drew a cross, if you would say that those are perpendicular or not.
Well, that's if you're drawing a cross and saying these represent perpendicular, then that would be perpendicular. That's, you know, as simple as that.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
Okay, now the problem, I take it you know of Nathan Oakley?
Yep.
No. Nathan Oakley has as one of his housekeeping questions. How do you have an angle to a curve? Have you heard that?
I have no idea. That's not
Okay.
That's not my
this is
area
where
of
I get to.
specialty.
On the flat Earth model, north, south, east, and west, or in reality, north, south, east, and west are perpendicular cardinal directions. You with me?
No, that's not true, I don't think.
Is it not?
So,
Certainly on the compass they are.
well, on the flat Earth model, you actually can have two people going in opposite directions, and in the flat Earth model, they're going in the same cardinal direction, right?
That's the problem. That in reality, and as far as I know, on the globe model, right, north, south, east, and west are perpendicular.
Okay.
Right now, the flat Earth model has north being at the center, which means east and west becomes a circle. Right now, when you take an azimuthal bearing, you measure an angle from north clockwise. Right now, if you are measuring that angle and you go to east, but east is a circle as it is on the flat Earth map, then are the flat earthers not actually measuring an angle to a curve? Because that east is a circle, east-west is a circle on the flat Earth model.
Yeah, it is a circle. By the way, what did you say about the cardinal directions on the globe model?
They're perpendicular. Well, in reality, they're perpendicular, right?
I'd have
North,
to
south, east, and west.
I'd have to think that through. It sounds right, but I'd have to think it through. Dealing with a three-dimensional object, that is spherical makes this a little bit complicated.
You've got longitudinal and you've
Yeah.
got latitudinal. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the globe model, the longitudinal circle is perpendicular to the latitudinal circle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So they're perpendicular.
It sounds
One's
right.
north-south, the other one's east-west, right?
How do
They are perpendicular.
and so how do what's the real world application that we can do here to end the debate? Because that's all I care about. I want to end the flat earth versus globe debate, which is why I came up with the final experiment.
Yeah, you'll never end it.
Well, hold on. I think I will because, well, first of all, do you think there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica?
I wouldn't have a clue. Hopefully
Well,
you're gonna let us know, right? That you're the man.
okay. By the way, I think you should at least care whether or not there is.
No. See, I don't actually have a model. So
then you can't do science.
What do you mean?
Science is about making predictions and testing them. That's how we've advanced so much in society. So if you don't have a model, you're not even going to be able to start the engine.
No, I can have reality.
Well, no,
I can work with what we experience in reality.
What the sun does in Antarctica is reality. And so that's why you should care about it, is because it is reality.
You're going to find out for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I am.
Hopefully, that was the thing I want to get at. You are going, aren't you?
Me personally?
Yes.
That's undetermined at this point.
Oh, you've got to go. You can't set this up. This is your baby. You've got to be there.
It is my baby. I want to go more than anything, but there's other people that it's more important if they go, because I'm a nobody.
No, you're at the end of this. You're not going to be a nobody, are you? This is the final experiment, right? Like you've said, one way or the other, this is the end of it for you.
That's right. And I think it should be for everyone.
Well, I don't consider it a thing anyway. Like there is reality. We all can agree on certain things, right? There are certain things that we can agree on.
Yes. Once we know the reality of what the sun does in the south, that is going to falsify one of the two models, namely flat earth or globe. And I think that is the most exciting thing possibly in the history of this debate. Don't you think it would be good to falsify one of the two models?
But the flat earthers aren't unified like the globe.
Well,
you might convince some flat earthers, because I've been talking to flat earthers, and some of them do agree that the sun goes around the north point, right? Some of them, they're a little bit harder to pin down on, maybe like me, because they just live in reality. We don't know these sort of things. I don't think anybody can know both of these things at the same time to know whether the sun does go around the north point. I mean, I think it's ridiculous.
Well, by the way,
point.
By the way, where do you live?
I'm in the UK.
Okay, cool. Do you believe New Zealand exists?
Do I believe it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And why?
Because I've heard of people. In fact, I've talked to some people. Execrate to 2000. Lives in New Zealand. At least he tells me he does. He could be lying.
He could be, but the reality is so much of our world we believe in because of people who have been there and have observed it. And so if there's thousands of people who have observed a 24-hour sun in the north, people that live in Finland and Sweden, and people who have visited Greenland, that's good enough. But it gets even better when they take a video of it. And so we've got videos of the 24-hour sun in the north. So there's no point.
Absolutely. We've got a guy who comes to our Discord server who lives in the most northerly city there is.
Oh, perfect.
So he can confirm that, and he has confirmed it for us.
Okay, great. So all I'm saying is this, is that if there's a 24-hour sun in the north, and then if there's a 24-hour sun in the south that's at the exact opposite time of year and it rotates in the opposite direction of the north, that cannot happen on any stationary flat plane.
Well, I would say because of the circling around the north. Yeah, I would say that's
Yeah,
a problem.
the key is having both of them and them going in different directions at different times of year. That is something that would be that could only work on a globe type model. Any flat stationary plane, that could not work.
I would say so. If they're round the circle of the sun, round the north, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what we're going to find when we get to Antarctica in December, but I'm excited. And the coolest part is that if the sun does not do what the globe predicts it will do, I'm going to become a flat earther on the spot.
I wouldn't
And
say that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Why?
Because you don't. That's not real, is it? You're not going to become a flat earther.
Yes, I will.
Well, what? Let's go back to it then. What is it? What's a flat earther? What's the difference?
A flat Earth model, the water in that model is flat and level.
Well, in reality,
it doesn't curve around a shape.
Yeah, like in reality, a water level is a tool that establishes a horizontal plane of reference. Now, lots of people put that on a globe.
Put what on a globe?
The level.
And what do they find?
No, they live on a globe. Everybody knows 'tis globe, right? Everybody knows it. So you've got to take what happens in reality and what can be proved in reality and place it on that model.
Right.
You're going to come up against problems if you find yourself conflicted.
The beauty of a model is it can be tested. And so we can test the globe because it's a very specific model, right? Like the globe model says the sun is 93 million miles away. That's a very specific number. And so that can be tested to see if it's wrong. And so if the sun
measure that,
if the sun sets in Antarctica, then the globe model is wrong. And I'm totally fine stating that the globe model is wrong and that it's been falsified.
Well, I would say you can't really measure the distance to the light in the sky. None of them.
Well,
it's just not possible.
People claim you can. I don't know how they're doing it, but again, if we put specific numbers on things, then that allows us to at least begin to say, okay, let's test it to see if that number is right.
Yeah, but how do you test it if there's no way of actually measuring it? It's an impossible test for measuring something that you can. I mean, the best you could do would be to measure an angle.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Well, how else would you measure? Like we know in reality, you measure the shortest distance between 2 points. Now that's a straight line.
Sure. So theoretically, if you could put a reflector on the moon and shine a light to the reflector and back, couldn't you measure it that way?
Could you measure the length of a beam of light?
Well, I'm just saying, can't you measure that?
I don't know how you'd measure the length of a beam of light.
Well, by you base it on the speed of light.
And that's known?
Absolutely, that's known.
Well, fair enough then.
Okay.
You measure the start time and the end time when it comes back?
That's right.
2-way. There and back.
Yes.
Because that's one of the problems, isn't it? That they're unknowing of how that travels, whether it takes half the time to get there and half the time to get back, or no time to get there and all of the time to get back, or vice versa.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole key here is all of these debates that happen every single day, they're not getting anybody anywhere. I listened to them for 2 years. They're just not going anywhere. So that's why
There's
I
no debate.
created the final experiment.
Yeah, there is no debate. And there never has been a debate.
Well, that's not
there's a lot
true.
of people. Well, go on. What's the best argument that you've ever heard?
For what?
Debate worthy argument for either globe or flat.
For the globe,
Yeah.
photo evidence is the best argument I've
That's
heard
not an argument, though,
for
is
the
it? For
globe.
debate,
Uh-huh.
presenting pictures isn't an argument worthy for debate,
Well,
is it?
it's considered evidence in a court of law that can convict someone. So it's pretty powerful evidence.
But it's not. It's you. There's no debate around. Here's a picture. Look at it. Accept what the picture says. I mean, that's no debate. That's why I say that there's never been a debate in this. I call it an arena. Flat Earth versus globe Earth.
Yeah, I like that.
It's hard to trust people in this arena because there's a lot of people you find to be untrustworthy due to lying.
That's the purpose of doing an experiment. It removes opinions and bias.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't consider myself a flat earther, but I do know people like you have considered the level being horizontal, even though that's the reality position, provable. You consider that to be flat earth.
Okay, so are the sides of a cube horizontal?
If you've leveled it, yes.
Okay, so
if
I
the
think,
top and the bottom are horizontal,
what about the sides? It's a three-dimensional object.
Be perpendicular.
Well, no, these two sides would be horizontal to each other, correct?
No.
And
No.
these two sides would be horizontal to each other?
Parallel.
Yeah, right?
Well, that's the horizontal and parallel are different. Horizontal is a certain orientation, and vertical is perpendicular to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if the Earth was a cube, how would you describe that?
What? If the Earth was a cube, how would you describe it? As you've already described it as a cube. The cube is the descriptor. It's a geometric descriptor, right?
Yes.
That explains it all.
But what I'm trying to say is that you'd have horizontal and parallel going
That's
this
vertical.
way.
You're doing vertical there.
Well, okay, so then we can go like this.
Yeah, at 45 degrees.
Yeah, so
to either
what is
horizontal
that?
or vertical.
With
They
a
would be
cube,
parallel.
with a cube, all eight sides. Is it 8 sides? Yeah. Or 6 sides. All 6 sides would be in different angles and different locations. And so how would you describe that? You couldn't just say that they're all
perpendicular to one another.
Huh?
They're perpendicular to one another. The sides of a cube are all perpendicular to one another, apart from the ones that are opposite, and they're parallel to one another.
Yeah. See the complication here? This argument is never going to convince anybody, and it's never going to move.
It's not an argument. It's not an argument. It's just just saying that horizontal and vertical, they are perpendicular. That's one of the things that we can agree on.
Well, again, if I draw a cross on a piece of paper with my hand, is that perpendicular?
If those two lines are perpendicular to one another, because that's what it is. Perpendicular is the relationship of one line to another line.
Yeah, but help me understand. If I draw a cross on a piece of paper, how will you determine if it's perpendicular or not?
Because you'll have put the right angle symbols on it, and that would determine, that you're trying to depict perpendicularity.
But that doesn't mean if we look at it like under a microscope that it's exactly 90 degrees.
No, because perpendicular is a geometric term, right? You can't get as exact as geometry. They're just descriptors.
I'm just saying, if I see a cross on a piece of paper, how do I know if it's actually perpendicular or not?
You wouldn't know. But you
Okay.
do know that horizontal and vertical are perpendicular to one another. That's something that we can all agree on.
And how does
That
that
no
help?
matter what model you have,
How does that help at all?
because it's a starting base where people can agree on certain things. The fundamental
Okay, great.
first principles.
Let's say we agree on that, then what?
Well, then we're okay. We're all living in reality, and we all understand that certain aspects of reality can be agreed upon.
Yeah, the one of the aspects of reality that I can't get a lot of people to get excited about is what the sun does in Antarctica.
Yeah, well, I think you can get you have got a lot of people talking about this because
Okay,
in the
good.
background there are people talking about it. But can we get back to right? I think you've been quite clever with this because what this effectively does is it splits the flat Earth camps into two. It puts that division that we talked about at the beginning, flat
Mhm.
Earth and globe Earth. This particular thing puts that division because certain flat Earthers have generated a flat Earth model. And
Mhm.
this flat Earth model has you measuring angles to lights in the sky, and the sun goes around the north. But so that's that model. Now, those people I call the grassroots flat earthers.
Mhm.
They would snap your heels off. They'd say, yes, Will, sign me up, get me over there. I've got my camera. I want to go and watch this and I want to be there, right? But the people that you're asking seem to be making excuses, let's say. They're coming up with reasons why either not to go or why there may be a light in the sky for 24 hours and coffee cup caustics, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that split is happening, but the only unless you actually go and talk to the flat earthers in the chat rooms and the discords and that, you'd never know this because you only get to see these vocal flat earthers, the ones that are on YouTube, and they're the ones that are coming up with excuses. Therefore, I see a split. Now, was that intentional?
No.
No.
Here's the reality. After the final experiment happens in December, if there's not a 24-hour sun, every single globe person going forward, the first question that needs to be asked of them in any conversation is, how do you explain that there's not a 24-hour sun in Antarctica? And they won't be able to give an answer. If we go to Antarctica in December and there is a 24-hour sun, the first question going forward in perpetuity to anybody who believes we live on a flat stationary plane is, how do you explain a 24-hour sun in the north and the south that go in different directions from each other? And they won't have an answer either. So this is the beauty of what I've created.
Well, yeah, I think the globe model was created because of these sort of things. There's let's say contradictions within reality that you're sort of forced into accepting. And I think you're playing on those sort of things, right? Because you understand logic, right? And like we said with science, one of the ways that we use science is that there's no such thing as a contradiction in reality. They don't actually exist. These paradoxes, they're tricks, if you will, to be solved.
Yeah,
Would you
I
agree on
think
that?
here's the cool thing. If you're right and we don't live on a globe, then I will prove that in December. You should be so excited for that.
Everybody knows tis globe. That's our thing.
Here's the problem though, is that people who believe we live on a globe are contacting me and they're making videos saying, we will admit we're wrong that we live on a globe if there's not a 24-hour sun. So this is pretty significant. It might be more significant than you realize.
Is the globe a model to you, like flat Earth? You know, that's what I consider these flat Earth and globe Earth. You
Yeah,
put a model around these terms.
Yeah, the globe is a model, and it's a very precise and specific model that is helpful because then we can go test it to see if it's right.
Well, yeah, I would consider it a shadow on the wall, right? In the cave. It's just a model that somebody's put there for you to use your mind to, to accept. The same as what's happened to the flat earthers. The flat earthers have generated this model where they've got the sun going in circles, but that deals a contradiction to them. That their azimuthal angle is now an angle to a curve, the very thing that they are asking the globe earthers, how do they do it?
Yeah, I think you're going to have a hard time gaining people's attention and getting them excited if you're not willing to at least put forth a model.
A model level is horizontal, provable.
That's not a model.
But that's a model, like you said, that that could end the thing. That could end it, couldn't it?
So on a cube Earth, you'd say both of these are level and both of these are horizontal.
No.
Which is which?
One of them would be horizontal as an orientation, and the other one perpendicular to it would be vertical.
Okay, but hold on. Imagine we have this cube Earth, and you're over here on this one, and someone else is over here on this one. Guess what? It's level and horizontal for both of them.
Like that. Obviously, you were doing a bridge. You were making a point to so they're not level.
In this example,
that's not level though, is it?
You have two horizontals that are perpendicular.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, isn't it?
No, it's a model.
Oh, but having horizontal perpendicular to horizontal, that's ridiculous.
Well,
I mean, you're not going to try and sell that, are you?
No.
Good.
Yeah,
I think that's ridiculous to try and assume that there is horizontal that could be perpendicular to horizontal.
Yeah, but if you at least consider it, if the Earth was a cube, which is theoretically possible, then you'd have to look at the two people that are on these two sides of the cube and what their life looks like. They never travel outside of here, and this person never travels outside of here. And so they're going to go out like you are and make observations, and they're going to be wrong.
Yeah, you don't get somebody stood horizontally on a vertical wall. That just doesn't happen.
Well,
I guess we've just proved cube Earth false as well, haven't we?
Well, yes, cube Earth is false, but it kind of refutes the type of science that you're talking about, which is just looking out your backyard. That's not going to get us.
We're not talking about looking out the backyard. We're talking about actual geometric tests that can be done in reality, like all practical. The use of this, because like I say, I'm not a flat earther. I came into this because I told somebody that the horizon doesn't rise to eye level. It can't. I mean, how could it? It's ridiculous to assume that you could get the horizon to rise.
Do you think the stars move?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see them moving, can't you?
How do you know it's the stars moving and not you moving?
Because I can watch the stars moving. I mean, I can move as well at the same time. I'm watching the stars moving whilst moving myself.
Okay, but how do you know that the stars aren't stationary and it's actually you that's moving? How do you test that? How do you know?
Right, just watch them.
If you were moving slow enough on a big enough surface, it would appear like the stars were moving, but it's actually you moving.
Yeah, but in reality, I can look up at the lights in the sky and see that they're moving.
Yeah, but again, you don't know how. You don't know how to test whether it's you moving or the stars. You don't know.
I can, like I say, I can watch them, right? There are people that, like you, that would like to try and say, "Do you know that?" But like you, I can watch them, and so can you. Do you doubt yourself when you look at the lights in the sky moving and think, "Hmm, I wonder if it's actually me, or are the lights actually moving?"
Yes, that is something that I consider. Absolutely.
Hmm. I wouldn't. I just look at the lights in the sky because you can't really tell anything from the lights in the sky anyway. Well, I mean, you can tell seasons and stuff like that, watching patterns, but
There's
you
a
can't, like I
lot.
say, you can't measure, you can't geometrically prove anything about the lights in the sky.
Well, the good news is I'm not measuring the Earth. I don't think you've measured the Earth. I don't know anybody really that's measured the Earth. So I'm
I
only
have
focused
done
on
some surveying though.
I'm only focused on shape.
Hmm. Like I say, I actually have done some surveying. So I have practically measured the elevation changes. I know the methods that we derive these elevation changes from.
Yeah, but you haven't measured the Earth. If you
Well,
have, tell me how big it is.
I haven't, no, not the totality of it, no. But
Right.
I have measured certain portions of it, and I know the tools and the methods used in reality to do these sort of things.
Yeah,
And
but those
as do lots of people that live in reality.
yeah, and those surveyors are not measuring the size of the Earth. That's not their goal.
No.
So I'm gonna do the final experiment because I do believe it'll falsify a shape. I do believe it'll falsify flat versus globe. And again, I'm going to put a challenge out to you, which is I want to know how you could theoretically make sense of a 24-hour sun in the north and a 24-hour sun in the south that go in opposite directions at opposite times of the year. If you can't put forth an explanation as to how that would work on a flat stationary plane, you've got nothing.
Well, I don't say flat stationary plane. No, that's
What do you say?
ridiculous. I just say it's reality.
Okay, so that's a cop out.
Why?
Because it's a cop
There's
out.
lots of people live in reality that are unaware of this false dichotomy that you're trying to thrust upon people.
If I just tell you I know we live on a globe and you ask me how and I say because it's reality,
Tis globe.
is that helping the conversation?
Tis globe. That's how it goes. I don't know
Again,
whether you've actually been in any conversations or anything around the arena.
we are going to show the reality of what the sun does in Antarctica, and you're no longer going to be able to avoid it. That's the reality here.
Well, I think what you will find is there's a lot of people that don't care what happens to the lights in the sky. That's why I say this is particularly, it's within this false dichotomy, your globe and your flat earth. That's where this is your target audience. Anybody outside of that, I don't think they'd be bothered about it at all.
I am happy that going forward after December 18th, no one is going to be able to get a free pass anymore. And whatever the sun does, everyone is going to have to be able to explain that aspect of reality. And if they can't, then no one should really consider what they have to say, because that is going to be a piece of reality that must be explained for whatever model you're purporting to make sense.
Yeah, not if you're making the first principles thing about level being horizontal, the starting base. Because, like, look,
Again,
we have distances from A to B. Right now, that's a straight line. Is it not? Like, if you say a mile, 69 miles,
mhm.
that would be a straight line distance, would it not?
I don't know. Depends on what
Oh.
your depends on what you're doing. So when I was in high school, I ran track. And so when I would run a mile, I would run a mile and it was in circles.
Uh-huh.
So that's a mile that's not measured in a straight line.
Yeah, well, it's measured, isn't it?
Yes.
It's measured to be like a straight line. The 100 meters is a straight line.
And it's why we have something in math that is known as the circumference.
Yeah.
To measure a distance that is a circle.
Well, calculation from the radius, straight line.
Well, anyway, I'm excited to report back to you on our findings and to hear what your thoughts are on our findings.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to, let's say, the drama that's going to unfold, because this saga, like you say, you've considered this a final. I think you'll find pushback from certain flat earthers that this is nowhere near final.
Well, we'll see.
Because they
Time will
do have
tell.
excuses for all sorts of things. Everybody has excuses in this arena for all sorts of. They've upped the contingency plans for every eventuality.
Well, we'll see. Time will tell. I'm hopeful. It is my baby, so maybe I'm a little bit naive, but we'll see. And
I hope you go. I
I'll let.
hope.
Thank you.
And
I'll let
what's
you
the
know.
chances of that? Are you going to give us a, like?
I would love to go more than anything in the world. So if it's going to be possible and feasible and doable, I will be there.
Yeah, I would hope that you would be there, because I think the credibility of this would diminish if you were to not go. I don't think anyone would ever believe that it was your baby if you don't go.
That's the beauty of the experiment, is that the sun is going to do what it wants to do, whether I'm there or not. So we'll see.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And hopefully we get to do this again. I
We
would
will.
love to talk about the biblical side of this, because I think you're getting a pushback from that too as well, are you not?
Yeah, definitely.
Is this likely to bring a bigger split within? I don't know how it works. Are you trying to start a new? Is it a denomination?
No.
Not with the globe in mind.
Nope.
Are there global denominations within?
No, I don't think there's no. I don't think there's any denominations that hold that the earth is flat. So there is currently no split or divide. And so you could look at it as what I'm trying to do is prevent that from happening. So if we live on a globe, then I want everybody to be unified on that. But if we don't live on a globe, then I would like the church to expose that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
And thank you again, Will Duffy from the Final Experiment. Thank you very much, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.